Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom, peace, mercy, and safety to the Akim on the highways and byways, preaching the word of sincerity and truth, and a healthy shalom to the elect. All right, back with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord willing, it is edifying. This will be more of a testimony. Was thinking about a couple of things today, and just thinking about how merciful the Lord has been. Man, and just thinking about my personal life and my personal walk. I decided to start maybe a series of videos going into how the Lord has delivered me, with some real in-depth examples and some testimonies, in my time before the truth, in my time during, and up until now. You know what I'm saying? So and I think it's important. I feel it's important that I share these things, and Lord willing, if someone, the right person hears it, this can boost their faith. I know some of these things are very emotional, you know what I'm saying? And, there'll be a couple of parts to this, because there's a bunch of testimonies. And so I'll start with this one here. This testimony is going into 10 years ago, which seems like it's only 5 years ago. It's wild how 10 years passed. So just a little bit about, 10 years ago, I spent a lot of my time in my life in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Selling drugs. Many, many years, man. I would say 20 years. Got locked up, didn't do no real time. You know what I'm saying? Was just going through it, just living that life. Robberies, shootings, that's to be totally transparent. Guns, that's what I come from. That's where I was. For the majority of my childhood, I would say from like 16 on, 16 to like 30 something, 35. It was long, could be longer. But just, in the streets, man, grew up really, really tough, you know what I'm saying? Really, really some tough scenarios and tough situations. But just when I think back on it, I know the Lord has delivered me from so much. And so that's why I decided to do these testimonials, a series of them, just to show the Lord's mercy and how merciful the Lord has been with me, because the Lord could have easily took me out. You know what I'm saying? And it's a really emotional when I think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how I was living. And it was all bad, bro. It was all bad. So this particular testimony is going into me. I'm in the streets. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm selling drugs 100 miles an hour, and I had a moment where, so I was actually, let me try to be a little more clear. I was actually, in the trap house, in the projects, NYCHA houses. That's where I'm from, right? I'm in the trap. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm cooking up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta say too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm cooking up, doing what I'm doing, and I had weapons in the crib, trap house. I'm in there, right? I was actually living right upstairs on 7, and my trap house was on the first floor. Go figure, right? my kid's right upstairs. So I'm downstairs all day. I'm selling drugs 100 miles an hour. And I had a moment where I had a breakdown, like I had a meltdown. Now this is me being in this life for a bunch of years already at this point. So I had a meltdown where I started tearing. I'm at the table bagging up, chefing up, bagging up. You know the process. After you chef up, you dry it and you bag up, right? I'm at the table bagging up, and I just started tearing. And I was going through a lot of thoughts in my mind. I was just thinking. And so I'm actually hustling in the same neighborhood where my father was murdered. He was murdered up the block, maybe like a few buildings up, 3 buildings up from where I was at. And I'm from that neighborhood. That's where I'm from, born and raised. I'm the guy out there, right? That's what it is, right? My family's big out there. That's what that was. So I was thinking about him, and I was like, man, and I started to tear, and I was like, man, if I don't change, I'm gonna wind up like my father. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna wind up getting murdered out here. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna wind up murking something. Like I'm gonna wind up doing something to somebody. Because that's just what happens. And you're in it that long, you wind up and it's always you wind up getting into it with somebody you know, right? That's the bullshit of the hood, that hood bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You wind up going against somebody you know. But whatever. So I had a moment where I broke down. I'm tearing. I'm not like crying, but I'm tearing, and tears is coming down my face because I'm thinking about all of this shit. And I'm thinking about how I want to change and how my kids is upstairs. And I just knew I was very conflicted. And I just knew that this wasn't it. And this wasn't it. So I started to pray. Now I knew the names of the Lord. I didn't know, I can't remember fully if I actually called on the names when I said this prayer. All right? I don't remember fully, but I do remember praying. All right? And asking the Lord, and this was my prayer, kind of verbatim. I asked the Lord to provide a way for me to provide for my children legally. That was the prayer, right? I wanted to get the fuck out the streets. I wanted the Lord to provide a way for me to provide for my children legally, because I wasn't in the streets selling drugs to be fucking Scarface, right? To be somebody. I was doing it because that's what I knew. That's what I was from. That's what I seen growing up. And that's what I decided to do. I was good at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the prayer. The prayer was simply that, but not simple, but it was that. It was, Lord, please provide a way for me to provide for my children legally. I know I'm going to die out here, and I want you to deliver me from this. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all right, pray over. Wipe my face, whatever. I'm back to bagging up. It ain't like I stopped. I'm back to bagging up, selling drugs 100 miles an hour, and it continued on for months after. Not that many months after. So I got a call from one of my bros that I grew up with about a job opportunity. And long story short, he called me like, yo, bro, got this job opportunity, bro. Like, they want us to do XYZ, da-da-da. This would be dope for us, bro. I know you want to get out the life. It's one of my close friends. He knew kind of what, he come from the same shit with me. And he knew we always spoke about going legal, whether it be music or whatever, just getting the hell out of this life. So he was like, yo, bro, this could be your shot to get out. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, went to the interview, boom, 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 got the job. All right, so now, I got the job. I'm working, doing what I'm doing. Now, I'm not making enough money at the moment, you know what I'm saying, to really take care of my kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really making enough and pay my bills, right? So It was a part-time gig. It was part-time. And, you know, I think shortly after that, I moved out. And I moved to an apartment. I moved out of the projects. You know what I'm saying? Got a crib. Boom, boom, boom. And I wasn't making enough to pay the rent. Rent was like $1,200. I had to pay utilities and all that. So I'm still selling drugs while I'm working a job, right? Still slinging, right? 100 miles an hour, just in the trap, taking the kids to school, spending my day in the trap, picking them up from school. That was just my life. When their mom really wasn't around like that, right? So my new lady, she came in and she was helping and doing what she was doing. So anyway, working a job, whatever. So shortly after, I got a promotion in the job to supervisor. Now the supervisor bag was a lot different. It was nice, it was nice. I was able to stop slinging. Right? But I didn't stop immediately. So while I'm working, I'm slinging, something came over me, and that's the spirit. Today, the Wadi Hawbashim Hawashai, now I know who I can thank, and I've done that. But when I became supervisor, and I was still selling drugs 100 miles an hour, I was actually the moment came over me where it hit me that the prayer that I said those months ago, it was being answered. It was answered with the job, and I said, "Oh shit!" Right? I was working a job for months, and it didn't hit me. I didn't know what it was like. Whatever. I'm just making more money. Whatever. But it hit me that, oh shit! This is the prayer. This is the prayer being answered. So I was absolutely floored. I was bugging. I was like, oh shit. So once I realized that, I would say not even a week later or 2 weeks later, I started to get the hell out of life. Like I started to stop slinging. I actually pretty much sold the rest of my drugs that I had. I gave some away, and I was off that. And I was finally off that. And it only came when I realized that the prayer was answered. And I didn't want to forsake the blessing. I didn't want to forsake the Lord. I knew the Lord was real at that moment. There's other moments, and Lord willing, during these testimonies, I'll be able to bring it out where the Lord showed himself. But I didn't want to forsake the prayer, and I knew that was a dangerous thing to do. If I continue to sell drugs and work, like I'm gonna just do both. Nah, so I let it go in fear. I let it go. I let the drugs go. I let the streets go in fear that the Lord F me around, fuck me around. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I stopped selling drugs and then months later I got another promotion where I started to run the whole shit. Started to run the whole thing. Right? I became the top guy, running everything, hiring people, putting people on. And yeah, man, so the testimony here is just pretty much how the Lord answered my prayers first and foremost and delivered me from what was probably going to be most certain death or a long jail stint. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So that prayer, the Lord answered my prayers, man, and delivered me, man. And so I just wanted to share that testimony. I know it's long, and I got some scriptures lined up, and I'll get to them. There's just one more piece that I wanted to add, and I'll get to that in a second. Let me get to the scripture. Salakia, that's 14 minutes, man. Wow, Lord willing, I made the point, and I didn't go too long with the testimony. All right. This is James 5:16. It says, confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And knowing how the Lord works, our steps are guided, right? The Lord has our lives planned out, and it's His will, right? So it says the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Just looking where I'm at now, which I'm not puffing myself up saying I'm anybody, I'm anywhere, because I'm not. But just looking at my walk and my journey to where I'm at now, I would like to think through the Spirit with all humility that the Lord seen me as a righteous man. And so thinking about the prayers that I prayed for, the Lord answered the prayers and has been answering prayers for me since. So James 5:16 again, confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And so for me, how much more now for myself mentally, how I encompass this scripture, because I've put away the old man. I've let go of the wicked ways and the wicked thoughts and everything that I was doing. It's been 10 years since. Right, been at the same job. The Lord has kept me here. I've repented and I've turned all the way to the Lord since then, to the best of my ability, knowing that I fall short daily. But man. So confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. Right, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So I just wanted to get that scripture because I feel as though it's important that I bring that out. Because I would hope that the Lord seen me as a righteous man, and that that's why He answered my prayers. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is Philippians 4:6. Let me highlight this. All right, this is Philippians 4:6. It says, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto the Most High. So that's exactly what I did 10 years ago. I knew the names of the Lord at that time. Through the Spirit, I will most certainly say that, I did pray in the names, man, because there was another, and that this will be another testimony when I was in a hospital going through some heart trouble, and I prayed to the names. And so, Lord willing, I'll do that sooner or later. But so through the Spirit, I feel as though I did pray to the names with this prayer to provide a legal way for me to provide for my family. Philippians 4:6 again, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto the Most High. And so that's what I did. And the Lord delivered, man. The Lord delivered. And, Tawada Yahweh Shimi Havashai. Man, I can't thank the Lord enough for answering my prayer, but also reminding me that my prayer was being answered. Because again, I didn't immediately turn fully to the Lord. I didn't immediately remember that this was the prayer being answered. The Lord, it was on His time. A few months later, the Lord put it in my mind that this is your prayer answered. Now it's time to change. It's time to let that BS go. All right. So man. Again, call hello Yahweh Shem Havashai for answering my prayers, man. And again, this is a testimony. I'm not trying to make it be so long, but Lord willing, I could get through it. All right. So let's go to Proverbs 30:8. Because I pulled this scripture up because This is what I prayed for. This is what I prayed for. Right? It says, Proverbs 30:8, it says, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. And that's exactly what I prayed for. I just prayed for the Lord to, remove me from this world, selling drugs, and provide me with a legal situation to provide for my kids. That's all I wanted. I didn't pray for an abundance of money and riches. I didn't pray for that. I prayed specifically just to be able to provide for my family. That was it. And my kids that was upstairs, right? It says, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. So that's all I prayed for. I didn't pray for an abundance. Okay? So that's why I brought that scripture out, just so I can really harp on what the actual prayer was. And that's what the Lord did. All right? The Lord provided me enough to be able to take care of myself and my family. And he has increased me throughout the years, with certain situations and certain things. So I'm forever grateful, for the Lord. All right. So this is Psalms 50. So there's another part of the testimony that I wanted to bring out, where I was having a huge argument with the mother of my first two children. All right, had a very toxic relationship with her. It was absolutely wild. And looking back on it, I know why. I was being a demon. I was smoking weed. I was selling drugs. She was doing the same. It was just hell, just absolute hell. And so I see why I was going through what I was going through. All right. Because I was catching absolute hell in my relationship. I was going through stuff on the streets. It was just a wild time. And so during the argument, she said to me, basically, maybe not in these words, but it was harsh. We was arguing back and forth, calling each other everything, but just the worst shit you could say to each other. She said, hey, that's what she said, the Lord is going to kill you for selling drugs. You think the Lord is with you? You think God is with you? God's going to kill you. Now, she was also being a demon. So, but the Lord put that on her to say that to me. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't know no better, because she wasn't doing no better. Right? But she said it. All right? She said it. And my response to her was, no, he ain't. My response was, with my pride, right? My response was, no, he ain't, because I'm doing it just to feed my kids. So he ain't going to kill me, right? The Lord's going to be with me. But she was actually right. The Lord could have most certainly put me to death or send me to prison or judge me in some harsh way, right, for what I was doing. She was most certainly correct. And again, that's the spirit that I was able to be reminded of all these things. Now that I'm in the truth, now that I have an understanding of particular scriptures and I understand how the Lord works, she was 100% correct, right? And again, I didn't realize what she said was true until years later when I came into the truth. She was 100% correct by saying the Lord, she said the Lord's going to kill you. And my response was, no, he ain't, because I was doing it for my children. But that was, I was off and I was wrong. All right, so I just wanted to bring that part up of the testimony. I didn't want to leave that out. All right, because the Lord put that on me to remember that argument, to remember that memory, because he put the spirit on her to say that to me. All right, Psalms 55:22, it says, cast thy burden upon the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Right. So during the prayer, I cast the burdens of what I was going through upon the Lord. And the Lord delivered me, man. The Lord heard my prayers, and the Lord guided me through, man. He was even with me during the moments I was still selling drugs. After the prayer, he was still with me, Because again, this is all of the Lord, and the Lord knew that he was going to pull me all the way out of it. All right. So, so Psalms 55:22 again, cast thy burden upon the Lord. And that's what I did during that moment. And that's what I continue to do. And I have to even do that more and be reminded of scriptures like this even now. Because it ain't like I don't catch absolute hell, because I still do. And so certain things never stopped, right? Been catching hell for a long time, man, in a lot of different ways. All right, it says, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. All right, so the Lord has planted me in a situation where I've been able to provide for myself and my family, man. And I'm not going to forsake the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I pray that the Lord keep the spirit on me to never, ever, ever. And I never went back in the 10 years. I never thought about it. Another testimony was prior to the 10 years. That's another testimony. But I was smoking weed. I ain't smoked weed in about 17, 18 years. About 17 years. But I prayed and the Lord, I stopped smoking weed because I knew that the Lord didn't want me smoking weed. So I did that for the Lord as well. All right, so that's that. Let's keep going. I got one more scripture, and I'll close out. Lord willing, the testimony was understood, and Lord willing, the testimony was seen as inspiration for anyone that's listening. All right, so this is 1 Thessalonians 5:17, and it's simply this. All right, pray without ceasing. Okay, pray without ceasing, and that's the scripture. All right, that's the scripture I'm going to close out on, because for myself, I have the multiple testimonies. All right, to prove that prayer is real, and being sincere about your prayers, not forsaking your prayers when the Lord answers your prayers, not forsaking it. I have many examples. Well, this is my top testimony on not forsaking. One of them, not forsaking the Lord when He answers your prayers. All right, because I was forsaking it for the moment while still selling drugs, but the Wadi Yahweh Bashim Hawashah for putting the spirit on me to be reminded of the blessing that the prayer was answered, and that I need to get my shit together and completely let it go. All right. And I see what the Lord has done for me since then. All right. So that's really it, man. 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Again, pray without ceasing. We have to stay continuously in prayer. Prayer is real. Prayer is our weapon. That's our weapon of choice. All right. We're going to need, we've all needed prayer then. We need prayer now. We're going to need prayer very soon, in the days, weeks, and months to come. All right. So we are to remember these things that the Lord has already done for us as faith boosters. As the seller, we got to say to ourselves, the Lord delivered me many times. I'm not gonna go back and think I can survive anything else any carnal way. No, prayer is the weapon. And prayer is the way we're going to be delivered and believing. All right. So that's it, man. Salakia for being too long. I probably was being long-winded, but Lord willing, it was edifying, exhorting, and an example for anyone who comes across this video. The Lord is real. The Lord answered my prayers, and I won't forsake the Lord willing. Shalom.